You can be lying next to someone, close enough to feel their warmth, close enough to hear their breathing slow down as they fall asleep, and still feel completely alone. Not the obvious kind of loneliness. Not the kind where you're physically by yourself. This is different. This is quieter, heavier, harder to explain. Because on the outside, everything looks fine. You have someone. You're in a relationship. Maybe people even look at you and think they're happy. And yet, there's this feeling, a distance you can't quite name, a silence that doesn't come from lack of words, but from lack of being felt. And if you've ever felt this, really felt it, you know how disorienting it is, because it makes you question everything. Am I asking for too much? Is this just what relationships become? Why do I feel alone when I'm not alone? And slowly, instead of questioning the relationship, you start questioning yourself. You start minimizing your feelings, explaining them away, telling yourself, it's not that bad. Other people have it worse. I should just be grateful. And the more you do that, the more disconnected you feel from your own experience. So let's slow this down, because this kind of loneliness is not random, and it's not meaningless. It's pointing to something real, something important, something that deserves your attention. Deep validation. This kind of loneliness doesn't arrive suddenly. It builds quietly, almost invisibly, in moments that seem small but aren't. Moments like wanting to share something meaningful and deciding not to. Not because you don't care, but because something inside you says they won't really get it. Or maybe it's not worth the effort. Or even, I don't want to feel dismissed again. So you pause, and then you let it go, and that moment passes. But something stays, a tiny distance, barely noticeable at first, but repeated enough times, it becomes space. And then it becomes disconnection. This loneliness shows up when you feel something deeply, but have nowhere safe to place it. When your inner world has depth, but no place to land. When your emotions don't feel welcomed, just tolerate it. And over time, you adapt. You become more contained, more careful. You start editing yourself in real time, filtering what you say, softening what you feel, reducing your needs to fit the space you're in. And here's the part that hurts the most. It works. The relationship stays calm. There's less conflict. Things feel manageable. But inside, you start disappearing. Not all at once, but slowly, in small, almost invisible ways. You laugh a little less honestly. You share a little less openly. You feel a little less understood. And eventually, you find yourself in a relationship where you are present but not fully there. And that's where the loneliness deepens. Because now it's not just about them. It's about losing connection with yourself. And when that happens, no amount of proximity can fix it. Insight 1. Emotional intimacy is missing. You can spend every day with someone, share routines, share space, share conversations, and still not feel close. Because closeness isn't built on time, it's built on depth. Emotional intimacy is not about talking more. It's about feeling known, feeling understood, without having to over-explain. Feeling like your inner world is seen and held with care. When that's missing, something subtle begins to happen. You stop going deeper, not consciously, but naturally. You stay on the surface. You talk about daily things, logistics, blunts, safe topics, and your real thoughts, your real feelings, your real questions stay inside. Not because you don't want to share them, but because it doesn't feel like they'll be received. And over time, your inner world becomes private, even in a relationship. And that creates a very specific kind of loneliness. The loneliness of being unknown. Insight 2. Your emotional needs aren't being met, not in dramatic ways, in quiet, consistent ones. The kind that don't seem urgent, but are essential. Being listened to without distraction. Being comforted without being dismissed. Feeling chosen, not just included. Feeling like your presence matters, not just your role. When these needs aren't met, you don't always react immediately. You adjust. You tell yourself it's okay. You lower the expectation. You become more independent emotionally. And at first, that feels strong, like resilience. But over time, it becomes isolation, because independence in a relationship is not the same as connection. And when you keep meeting your own needs in a space where they should be shared, you start feeling alone even with someone right there. Insight 3. You've learned to silence yourself. This doesn't happen randomly. It's learned through experience. Moments where you spoke and felt misunderstood. Moments where you opened up and felt dismissed. Moments where you expressed a need and felt like it was too much. So you adapt. You become quieter. Not on the outside, but on the inside. You start holding things in. Not because you don't care, but because it feels safer. Safer than being ignored. Safer than being rejected. Safer than feeling like a burden. But what stays unexpressed can't be understood. And what isn't understood creates distance. So the more you silence yourself, the less known you become. And the less known you feel, the more alone you feel. Even in love. Insight 4. You're physically present, but emotionally distant. From the outside, everything might look normal. You spend time together. You talk. You exist side by side. But internally, something has shifted. You're there, but not fully. Part of you is observing. Part of you is holding back. Part of you is protecting itself. And that internal distance is what creates the feeling. Because connection isn't just about being there. It's about being open. And when openness doesn't feel safe, you close quietly, gently, until one day you realize you've been present but not connected. Insight 5. You've slowly disappeared within the relationship. This is the deepest layer and often the hardest to notice because it doesn't feel like a single moment. It feels like a series of small adjustments. You hold back here. You let something go there. You choose silence instead of honesty. You choose peace instead of expression. And over time, those choices shape you. You become easier to be with, less demanding, less expressive, less you. And that's where the deepest loneliness lives. Not just in being unseen by someone else, but in being disconnected from yourself. Real life scenarios. You're sitting together, both on your phones. There's no conflict, no tension, but also no real connection. Just two people coexisting, and something inside you feels empty. You think about sharing something important, something personal, something that matters to you. You even start the sentence in your head, but then you stop. You tell yourself, maybe later, and later never comes. You express a small need, not a big one, just something simple, and it's brushed off, minimized, misunderstood. So next time, you don't try. You're physically close, maybe even affectionate, but emotionally, there's distance, and you feel it in the silence, in the lack of depth, in the absence of being truly met. You imagine what it would feel like to be fully understood, fully accepted, fully seen, and it feels far away, even though someone is right next to you. Reflection prompts. When was the last time I felt truly seen? Not just heard, but understood? What parts of myself do I hold back without even realizing it? Do I feel safe expressing my real thoughts, my real emotions, my real needs? When I feel disconnected, do I speak about it? Or do I stay silent? Where have I slowly disappeared in order to keep the relationship stable? And if I'm honest, what do I actually need that I'm not allowing myself to ask for? Insightful ending. This kind of loneliness isn't a failure. It's not proof that something is wrong with you. It's not a sign that you're too much. It's a signal, a quiet one, but a clear one. It's showing you where something is missing, where something isn't being met, where something inside you needs attention. And the first step is not fixing everything. It's not forcing connection. It's not pretending things are okay. It's noticing gently, honestly, without judgment, noticing where you've gone quiet, where you've held back, where you've stopped showing up as yourself, and slowly beginning to return to your voice, to your needs, to your present. Because real connection doesn't start with another person. It starts with you, with your willingness to be seen and your courage to stop disappearing. Because you deserve more than proximity. You deserve to feel known. You deserve to feel understood. You deserve to feel not alone, even in love.